Hey, what's up you guys? John from Old Running Farm here. Thanks for joining us. In today's video, a much requested video, we're going to show you how we built our little hay feeder that's perfect for small square bales of hay in the 30 to 50 pound range. So we're going to get started. Just milled one log here and got a ton of wood. I think that's going to be everything that we need, and it's all measured out to standard lumber size so that everything that I'm talking about you can do with 4x4s and 2x4s that you get from your local store, whether it's Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever. So I don't have the plans set up right now, but what I will do is after we film this video, I'll go through and set up some plans, and I'll maybe put them on our website, and we'll put a link in the description so that you guys can go and download the plans, get a cut list, and build it your own. Let's get started. So right now I'm just kind of going through, sort of sorting the lumber that we have because we piled it all on top of each other. And so the first thing we're going to do is build the base. The base is made out of 4x4s, and it's basically real simple. It's just going to kind of be, two legs going this way, something in between, and then two things going up, and there's some little angle braces to keep it all together. And yeah, so we've had this hay feeder in our family for a long time now. Since we got alpacas, it was one of the first things that we built, and it's done pretty well for us so far. So we have most of our tea set up, so I'm gonna put that together in here. Okay, so now I have my two initial stands done, and what I did was I just lined these up and put the long post in the middle. So this is the 44-inch section. So this is what's gonna hold up the roof and provide basically everything that we attach in the middle. So I just toe-nailed in some screws, and if you don't know what that is, so I just set these up and screwed them in on an angle, and that's just basically to hold where we're at. That's not going to be super structural, but we're going to put angle braces in there to make it structural, but this way we just kind of hold it in place. So if you don't know how to do that, I'll ask Catherine to come in here real close. So you're just going to start your screw, get it in there a little bit, and then you can just sort of angle it. And then so if you have a piece of wood running this way, you can connect it in like that. So now we're going to cut some angle braces to hold up our feet and for our whatever that's called in the middle to hold up the table. So we're going to cut these 12 inches long with a 45-degree angle on either side. And so the 12-inch side is going to be the long side. I'll show you what I mean in a second. All right, so these are going to be our little angle braces, and so these are going to sit right here, and so that acts as a brace, and it keeps the weight distributed evenly here, because when this is standing up, especially because this is oak, this is going to end up being a very heavy hay feeder. So that'll make sure that over the years this stays nice and straight and the load is evenly distributed to the feet. So now, nice that it stands up straight. So now I'm going to use this as my template and just kind of go and mark out where my angles should be. So, because basically when you're cutting it like this on a miter saw, unless you want to keep swinging it around, you make one cut, flip the board over, move it down, make the next cut. So you'll see me doing that here. If you don't have a miter saw or a compound miter saw or anything. You can do it with a circular saw too, it's just a little bit less exact. But this farm stuff doesn't need to be perfect. So now we're going to go through and put our first middle beam on. And so this is going to sit right here and give us a nice support, because we're going to have a table underneath where the actual hay feeder is. That way it catches any sort of waste and gives them a second chance to pick through it for whatever you're using. You know, we obviously use it for alpacas, and they, you know, pick out whatever they don't want to eat, whether it's the straw pieces or sometimes it's the clover. But then sometimes, you know, stuff falls out, and this way it just doesn't fall on the ground and rot. You give it a chance for them to take a second go at it. So I'm gonna do the same sort of thing I did with the main posts, and I'm just gonna put in a couple of screws right to here. Then I'll put in the angle brace, and I'm gonna have to sort of kajigger a way to get this all connected, because this is really heavy. So this is all oak, and this is we just milled this like an hour ago, which is really great because now it's not as hard as it will be. Give this a couple days and it's going to turn sort of rock solid, but that'll also hopefully pull everything together and make it really, really strong. So actually what I did was I screwed a piece of scrap wood in right under where I want my middle beam to sit, so that way I can stand the two things up, put it where it's going to be, and put my screw in, take that out. Good thing we have a tractor. There we go.
It's looking so nice.
You can even see where the moisture is coming out of all of these.
Oh yeah, they're like weeping.
Yeah. All right, so I have now attached the sides to our little table here that you can see right here. I did the same thing, just toe nailing the screws right in there. And now what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna have Catherine cut up our 1x materials, which in our case they are 1x4s. You can use any dimensional or any dimension width-wise that you want to. We're gonna treat this sort of like a deck and just put like a 1/2 inch space in between each board. You could also use like 3/4 inch plywood. That's what we had on our other one. Either way, it's the same. You're just sort of filling the gaps here. Since we're using milled lumber, you know, we don't have the option to make plywood, so we're just going to use the 1 inch thick material. And so for me, so it's about 32.5 inches long, and we'll need about, I think 10 pieces will do it. So I'm going to set Catherine on to do that. And in the meantime, so these are our end boards. So these are going to sit on the end, and they just act as a way to screw in the deck boards and as a little rim to make sure that the hay doesn't fall out of the table. So I'll set Catherine off to do those cuts, and then we'll put it all together. Glad that mill is running better. This lumber looks really good. Clean lines and sharp.
Want to explain it?
Sure. All right, so now that Catherine's cut me all of my table boards, you can see I put the end caps on here. So this is the bottom table thing that's going to catch all the hay that falls down. And now I'm just using my speed square to just put a little bit of space in between these two boards. So I screwed this one in the center, push this one up against it. Just put one screw in the center for now, And then once I'm all done, I'll go through and I'll put a screw in on either side to make sure this is nice and flat, and that'll give it some extra rigidity. Well, as Catherine pointed out, if I hadn't put this far board all the way against the edge, it would have been like perfect spacing. So it's a little extra over there, but that's okay. All right, so we are basically done with the base. Get it? Basically done. So the only other thing we have to do is we're gonna put our cattle panel piece in here to, keep the hay there. So there's gonna be sort of a V going from there to there. So I'm here to hopefully finish this thing. So next up is the roof, and there's 3 sections for this. So there's the ridge beam, which is right in the center, and then there's these 2 supports, and then there's the rafters. So there's gonna be 3 rafters on each side. And in my last hay feeder, I cut a bird's mouth into each rafter and made it kind of fancy. I'm not gonna do that this time. I am just gonna cut an angle on the front here. And I'm gonna have these boards laying this way as opposed to that way. So that way we don't need to cut a bird's mouth. And so this is gonna sit basically right down in here. So I need to figure out what the angle of that cut is gonna be. So I'm just gonna stick my ridge beam up 9 inches from the base of this, and then just kind of do some templating and see if I can figure it out. All right, I apologize, the phone keeps dying because it's so hot out here. But so basically, this is what I did. So I set up my ridge board about 9 inches from the base. I got my, this is another one of the supports. And then I basically just put a piece of wood down and angled it up to where it needed to be, and then made a mark. And then just tried to figure out what that angle was with some experimenting on the miter saw. Found it's 30 degrees. So now I've cut that in all of my rafters. So when I come over here now, look at that. So it lines up pretty much perfectly. Now again, farm stuff, so it doesn't need to be precise, but this will do just fine. So now I'm gonna screw those all together, and then I'll have my functional roof. Then I just need a bunch of other stuff to do and I'll be done. It's so hot, oh my God. Okay, so the roof is now on, and now it's just sitting there. And so these 2 pieces on either side, this one and that one, are just there so that it can, rest. And I'm getting messages that the phone is too hot, so gonna have to stop. All right, so we are here on day 2. We had to sort of stop filming because yesterday it was way too hot. And honestly, at this exact moment, it's sort of getting there. But so it was way too hot. The camera kept dying, blah, blah, blah. So I believe we last left you with just the legs and I think some of the table, maybe. But either way, so this is it, full, finished in its final form. And so we have 4x4 legs with the 2x4 angle braces. There's another 4x4 going across, supporting the table. And then we have 1x4s as the table itself. And then coming up here to the roof, lifts up. There's 2 hinges on the back side here that connect these roof supports to the overall feeder. And I will probably improve upon this in the future. So on top of this 2x4, there's a 4x4 right here. There's a 2x4 right here, and then a 2x4 on the other side. So it's kind of sandwiching that 4x4. And then that's what supports these long boards on either side. There's probably a way that I don't need this inside one, but I just want to make sure, since this 2x4 is what holds up the roof, just want to make sure it's all good and sturdy. Aside from that, I just added in some 2x4s right here to just prevent this from being a completely open space. In the previous one, we had plywood in a triangle, but this way I was thinking there could still be someone who wants to come and eat hay on this side, but this way they're not going to pull out gigantic chunks all at once. And then,
Let's see that roof.
let's see the roof. You like it?
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. So we have 1x material up here. It's not a set size because I just kind of was using what I have. I think going forward I'll probably cut specific sized material for it, whether it's 7 inches long or whatever. But right now it's sort of just whatever I had. I also used the live edge piece on the bottom. I thought it just gave it a little more character, so it looked pretty. And
How did you do the cattle panel?
oh, so the cattle panel. So this is what I have left of one of my cattle panels. It's just a piece of it. So I basically just cut out, I think it's about 36 inches here, and then like 74 inches long. And then you kind of just bend it in half, fit it in there. I have some barbed fence staples that I hammered into the top to hold it in place. Pretty straightforward.
How did you cut that?
Oh, I cut this using an angle grinder, which just makes it easier and more fun because it shoots sparks and burns your leg hair off. But you can also just use bolt cutters on these, but angle grinder makes the job way easier. All right, so the one last thing that really makes this a one-person operation is the roof holder-upper. I don't know if there's a technical term for it, but so this is just a 2x4 that is cut to some length. Just so it's cut to long enough so that this is about the height that you can hold it, so that this way, you know, obviously you lift the roof up and you can put a thing in, just like opening your car hood. And so it's just important to get a nice, strong, heavy hinge that I have like right here with this piece. Because this is what was left after this little wimpy strapped hinge that I thought was going to work. Ow.
It's hot?
It's also very hot. So anyway, that works out pretty well. And yeah, the roof isn't that heavy once you get it up past a certain point. It's just getting it started that's a little tough. As you can see, Catherine lifted it up. I mean, she's real strong anyway, so yeah. And that is about it. So I think we're going to try to sell this one, and maybe I'll be making 10 zillion more of them. Who knows? All right, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. We will have some sort of plans available on our website. I'll work on a step-by-step guide and put it up here when I can. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know. You can send us an email, oldreddingfarm@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment down below. Be happy to help you out and answer any questions you have. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.